That
I can hear you.
okay. That's great. That's great. All right. We have how many people currently at the meeting? We still have some people still coming in. So um without further ado, I guess we can proceed with the meeting. We can kick off. Do I have the go ahead?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
All right. So welcome everybody. I'm already seeing a lot of kids in the house. I'm seeing the adults in the house. Our usual audience are also here. Hopefully we have new people as well in the house. Thank you all for taking out the time to spend this 1 hour with us. I don't know where you are in the world, but where we are in this part of Lagos, it has been raining all day and it's a very cold, wet day. So please, I hope you are warm wherever you are. Wear your warm clothing. I have my sweater here, and get a cup of tea if you need to. Just keep yourself warm because this is the wrongest time to actually be down with a cold or the flu before people start running away from you thinking that you're already catching symptoms of COVID. So let's ensure we are keeping ourselves warm. Kids in the house, ensure you have your cardigan, wear your socks if you need to, if it gets too cold. This is not the time to be using the AC and staying too close to the fan so that you don't get um, any flu symptoms. So without further ado, let us kickstart the meeting in our usual fashion. Welcome everybody to the HSE seminar for the month of June. My name is Deborah Ikenebome, your usual anchor for this seminar. I am the Ethics and Compliance Manager for the Leadership in Health, Safety and Environment International Forum. For those of us who are our usual audience, welcome you especially. For those of us who are new to the group, welcome you as well. And during the course of the meeting, we will have time to also get to know more about you and welcome you especially. So the next 58 minutes, we are going to look at this agenda. Our safety moments today, also just recall our mission and vision. Our HSE topic today is very special. Usually we do a lot on safety and environment. Now we are actually looking at the health aspect of our forum, and our able Dr. Innocent is going to be taking us through this. The topic is bloodless surgery. It sounds novel to some of us, and we'll get the opportunity to spend the next 25 minutes listening to him what this is all about. There's also going to be a session where we'll have the opportunity to ask all the questions and give comments as usual. And what a lot of us look forward to is a quiz and awards. We're going to have that segment as well. So please stay tuned. Remember, it's fastest correct fingers first. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled. Listen to every part of the 1 hour that will be here so that you can answer correctly to all the questions. Then we'll just review what campaign we have for the new quarter, that's the third quarter. And our president, as usual, will have a closing remark taking us away for the month, preparation for the next seminar in July. So there we have it. This is our flyer that we sent out to everybody. I'm sure we've all seen this, and please, if you have anybody that you invited for the meeting that isn't here yet, it's a good opportunity to start sending them messages or calling them up so that they can quickly join. Then we're now at the point where we want to get to know you. So please introduce yourself. Let us know who is on our list, who is here with us. It seems the rain is affecting a lot of connections because a lot of people might be trying to sign in now and probably will be having issues. I've already gotten some information on that. So we will just keep trying. We'll do the best we can to get people in. Then please introduce yourself. Go to the chat section. Just tell us your name and who invited you. Because usually we commend those people who take out the time to spread the LiHSEIF message and invite people to the seminar. So just say, like you see the example there, I am Binta Boniface, I was invited by Aisha Okeke. If there are 10 of you in the room, the 10 of you, you can list out the names of the 10 people in the room. So you can say, there are 10 of us here. Our names are, you list it all out, then you say we were invited by. So that's the way it goes. So we'll take our time while I'm giving you all this information. You can just start putting that information down in the chat section. Our people in the background will be taking all the information and we'll contact you in due course. So because today we are looking at the health aspect of HSE, we have decided that our safety moments will be tailored to that as well. So if you see, our safety moment is talking about heart health check. So we'll just spend the next 2 minutes looking at this video and just for us to understand what the heart health check is all about and when you should be conscious of it, at what age you should be thinking about checking your heart and so on. Even as the kids in the house, it doesn't mean that it's not an information for you. You can always advise an adult, you can advise a friend, you can advise people around you. No knowledge is lost. So let's just go through the video.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death in Australia. Many people may not know their risk of developing heart disease, especially since you often can't feel risk factors like high blood pressure or cholesterol. The good news is that common types of heart disease like heart attacks as well as strokes could be prevented through regular heart health checks with your GP. If you are 45 and over and do not already have heart disease, you are eligible for an annual heart health check under Medicare. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are eligible from 30. A heart health check is a checkup performed by your GP that helps you understand your risk factors for heart disease and estimate how likely you are to have a heart attack or stroke in the next 5 years. Don't worry, you're not going to have to run on a treadmill or have any surgical procedures during this visit, and it only takes about 20 minutes. A heart health check usually involves having your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels checked. You will also talk about your medical and family history, as well as your lifestyle, what you eat, how active you are, whether you smoke or drink alcohol, and if you are maintaining a healthy weight. Your GP will estimate your risk by putting this information into a calculator and will let you know whether you are at low, moderate, or high risk of having a heart attack or stroke in the next 5 years. Your GP or nurse will develop a plan of short and long-term steps to help you lower your risk of heart disease, like ways to be more active, quit smoking and maintain a heart-healthy diet. They may also refer you to a dietitian or prescribe medication if you are at higher risk. Keeping your heart healthy, whatever your age, is the most important thing you can do to help prevent and manage heart disease. Take the first step to protecting your heart by visiting your GP for a heart health check today.
Okay, so this is a good idea for all of us to follow. It's quite unfortunate that our health system in Nigeria doesn't give us much information as we have in Australia here, with something as detailed as this, telling people that from the age of 45, they're entitled to getting their heart health check every year. So irrespective of the fact that we're still a developing country, we have the information on our hands. So this means that we can always go to a hospital, a government hospital, and get these checks done. So knowledge is power, knowledge is key. So let us continue to ensure that we get ourselves informed of all these developments as regards to our health risk. So the question of the day, the very, very, very first question of the day from our safety moment, as usual, fastest correct fingers first. A health check estimates how likely you are to get a heart disease in the next dash years. So for those who are listening, if you had your ears and your eyes peeled, you would have heard this information. The option A, 2, B, 5, C, 15, D, 20. Fastest correct fingers first. If you are listening, Please, okay, people are already putting in the answers. So I'm happy that people have been listening. This is unusual. Mr. Francis MC raised his hand. Could you just quickly tell us what the issue is or in the comments you have?
No issue, no issue.
Okay, so,
No issue.
all right, that's fine. All right then, so that's all for the safety moments. We're up to the next agenda, which is running through the special days we have for the month of June. So all this has been done on the 5th of June. We had World Environment Day. We had the June 12th day, which used to be the MK Abiola day, but has been changed to the Nigerian Democracy Day. And on the 8th of June, we celebrated World Oceans Day, encouraging us to keep our oceans clean. And our fathers were also celebrated this month with the Father's Day. So in the month of July, we are preparing to celebrate this special day. We have the plastic bag free day. We know the adverse effect that plastic has to our environment. So we're encouraging everybody that for this month of July, take extra precaution to ensure that you reduce, reuse, and recycle your plastic as much as you can. If you don't need to use it, please don't waste the plastic you have. You can use a plastic water bottle several times before you trash it. Then we also have the International Tiger Day. Just as we're talking about health, safety, and environment also includes the animals and plants in them. And we know the adverse effect of poaching in our world today, and most of all these animals are already endangered. So we encourage people to keep spreading the message and spreading the awareness for this. We know of Nelson Mandela, the good things he did for South Africa and the fact that he was a role model for the whole world. So we're having a special day in remembrance of him and all these achievements on the 18th of July. And on the 11th of July, we celebrate the World Population Day. We know the adverse effects of population in the world, and we're talking about population control, population management, and all that. So it's a special day to get more awareness on that. Then finally, on the 28th of July, also health related, is the World Hepatitis Day. It might not be a common disease or something we're very familiar with, but it's a disease that is very rampant and causes serious issues depending on the effects or the level of the hepatitis you have, either A, B, or C. So it's also good to use the opportunity to make ourselves aware of this. For those of us who are new in the house, we'll quickly run through our vision. LiHSEIF, like I said initially, what is the Leadership in Health, Safety and Environment International Forum. We're not limited to only Nigeria. We encourage you to spread the message within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. So whoever the person is, Nigerians, non-Nigerians, Africans, and non-Africans, we want to spread this health, safety and environment message worldwide so that everybody sees it as the way of life. It now becomes a culture. It's not something that we do just at work. It's something that we do when we sleep and wake up. Every minute of our life, it becomes part and parcel of us. So our vision is to make leadership, health, safety, and environmental activities an indispensable necessity in human existence, like I've already said. And our aim and objective is to ensure that we connect with as many selfless and highly passionate individuals that see the need to leave a positive legacy in leadership, health, safety, and environment in our society. That is why we have these monthly seminars. That's why we have our campaigns. That's why we have our school projects and all the other projects that we have in our forum. Then our organization's mission is to involve and engage highly enthusiastic, selfless, and professional personalities through methodological research approaches to effect all HSE and leadership set goals. So we need your help. We need everybody's help to ensure that we get our mission moving it forward. So you see, our slogan is leading for legacy, because our belief is that we do not expect to fix whatever problems we have or create a solution just by looking on the surface. We're not just talking about the adults. We are interested in the children as well, because we believe that if we're able to inculcate in them these basic HSE practices, it's something they will grow up with, and we will have less issues when they become adults, because this is already becoming part and parcel of them and a culture. So HSE would have progressed and developed much more by their own time. So without further ado, we will go ahead and look at our HSE topic for the day. For those of us who do not know, again, the topic is bloodless surgery, and it's going to be given to us by Dr. Innocent Okwawo. He's a medical doctor, and we are very, very appreciative of him taking the time out of his busy schedule. He's a very, very busy person, but he still took out time to spend this 1 hour with us, and we really appreciate that. So he currently works at Safe Hands, and he fulfills multiple roles there. He's a financier, he's the chief executive officer, he's also the primary surgeon and head of surgical critical care. He also engages and oversees in the services of the obstetricians, the gynecologists, the urologists, oncologists, surgeons, as well as the medical oncologists, orthopedic surgeons, and the neurosurgeons. So you see, he has his hand packed full with a lot of activities. So when we say we always try to bring you seasoned professionals to run these trainings, seminars, it means that we really mean what we say. So he is giving us this particular seminar because he has identified that there is a gap in this awareness, and he feels it's something that he needs to bring to the house for us to get that knowledge. And for that, we are very, very appreciative of that. He's also the founding member of the Nigerian Faculty of American College of Surgeons Advanced Trauma Life Support, and he's a certified provider in advanced cardiovascular life support, pediatric advanced life support of the American Heart Association, and a graduate of the SABM PBM certificate course. He has also been awarded fellowship in minimal access surgery and gynecological endoscopic surgery by the World Association of Laparoscopic Surgeons, and a diploma in minimal access surgery from Asia's Premier Institute for Laparoscopic Surgery. That's the World Laparoscopic Hospital in New Delhi. So Dr. Innocent Okwawo, we are pleased to have you in our midst. The floor is yours. You're still muted.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Well, a lot has been said about this presenter, so I guess I'll just go ahead and share my screen, and then we get on to business. Okay. I'm sure everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, so my name is Dr. Innocent Okwawo, and I'm talking about a review of the safe and innovative health approach called bloodless surgery. Usually, bloodless surgery is not taken on its own. It's a concept called bloodless medicine and surgery. And so I'm going to be interchanging the expressions bloodless surgery as well as bloodless medicine and surgery in the course of my discourse. So, hold on, my slide isn't moving. Okay, better. So the outline I'm going to use for this discussion is, first of all, we'll define what bloodless medicine and surgery is. And of course, we want to know, in the first place, why is blood transfused? And blood is transfused, but what is its safety profile? If blood was a prescription drug, knowing all the complications and side effects, would you want to take it? And then we'll talk about the need for bloodless surgery and how practical it is in this part of the world. So I'll start by a definition. What is bloodless surgery, or what is bloodless medicine and surgery? Of note is the fact that it is multidisciplinary, multimodality. What does that mean? different specialties are involved. Different modes or different methods are put into place to ensure that patients are treated without exposing them to the many hazards of allogenic blood transfusion. Now, the purpose of bloodless medicine and surgery is to achieve improved patient outcomes and better patient safety. So it's not about, okay, don't use blood. No, what is the reason? The reason is that we have found out that patients who are not exposed to transfusion do better. So what are the 4 pillars of bloodless medicine and surgery? First, if we know we don't want to expose the patient to transfusion, we need to build up the patient's blood count. So optimize the hematocrit. During the procedure, during surgery, we make sure that blood loss is at its barest minimum. So we minimize blood loss. Since blood, the very important function of blood is to carry oxygen to the tissues, we look for ways to improve, we optimize tissue oxygenation despite a low blood count. We also utilize what we regard as the physiological tolerance of anemia. And that means the human body is designed to survive. And one of those survival strategies that the human body employs is being able to cope with a reduced blood count, while we now go ahead and raise the blood count with other methods apart from the use of blood. But we'll take a brief history of bloodless medicine and surgery. For about 2,000 years, up until the 19th century, what people were doing with blood is what we call bloodletting. So I'll give you an example. An individual is in today's medical knowledge, an individual has a mental illness. So he's erratic, he's violent, he's all of that. And they believe that it is the kind of blood flowing in him that has made him that way. So what they do is they capture him, they do bloodletting, allow some violent blood come out of his body, they thought, hoping that that would help him get better. So bloodletting was one of the things that were done up until the 19th century. And interestingly, prior to the 20th century, every surgery performed was without blood transfusion. We have the Nobel Prize winner for medicine in the 19th century, who performed 5,000 thyroid surgeries. Thyroid surgeries are one of the surgeries that a lot of surgeons today insist that without blood they cannot perform. But the father of thyroidectomies, the man who won the Nobel Prize for thyroid surgeries, did not use blood in any of his surgeries. So if he performed 5,000 and we say that he had only 1% mortality, that comes to 50. So he did 4,950 without any problem. So then of course, up until in the early 1900s, Karl Landsteiner, who helped us to know that there are different kind of blood groups. So imagine that at some point in the history of medicine, blood was transfused without knowing that there was something called blood group. So you can see how dangerous transfusion was from the very beginning. Up until then they discovered that, okay, there are blood groups, and then they insisted that, okay, only people with a particular blood group can receive blood from another person with a similar blood group. But blood came into use during the world wars, during the First World War and Second World War, when war casualties were resuscitated with blood, and everyone thought that, oh, blood was the fluid of life, and then that we entered into the era of transfusion medicine. And it was so rampant that there used to be a phrase, we used to say, when in doubt, transfuse. What does that mean? You look at the patient and you're like, are you sure this person needs blood or not? Oh, well, when in doubt, transfuse, go and give. So we got to that point. However, we want to recognize why is blood transfused in the first place. Well, anemia has a negative effect on healing and recovery from illness. That is well understood. So it is believed that when you transfuse to normalize the blood count, it will help recovery. That is the belief. However, is that scientifically sound? We'll get to find out. Of course, loss of blood, hemorrhage, or hemolysis, like it happens in sickle cell disease, can lead to tissue hypoxia and death. So it is believed that replacement of lost blood can prevent the tissue damage and death. Another reason why people are giving blood is that blood contains clotting factors that helps to stop bleeding, and it is believed that transfusion of blood can help those who have deficient clotting ability. Okay, so with all of this, the question is, how safe is blood? What is the safety profile of blood transfusion? You mentioned the special days in the month of June in your introductory remark. Interestingly, the month of June 14 is World Blood Donor Day. And the Guardian newspaper in Nigeria on that day carried a news article. At the bottom of this page, of the front page, you see there that in Nigeria, 95% of donor blood units used in Nigeria is unsafe, according to the experts. It's mind-blowing that 95% of blood is unsafe. So it means only 5% of people who are transfused get safe blood. And interestingly, what makes it unsafe? Infection. You know, infectious agents that are contained in blood are not properly screened, or they are screened, but some diseases are not looked out for. And for that reason, people have problems. So we see that it's an issue for us to deal with. So there are what we call two types of complications of blood transfusion. We have infectious complications. That means diseases can be spread by blood transfusion. So the disease that the donor has can be passed on 100% to the recipient. And then we have what we call non-infectious complications of blood transfusion. So we'll take a look at a few of them. Okay, we have a quiz question there. What is bloodless medicine and surgery? And I'm sure you all would have noted what the answer is. So move on to the infectious agents that are transmissible by blood transfusion. It's a long list. They're divided into viruses, bacteria, prions, and all the rest. So for viruses, we have hepatitis A, B, and C. We even have D. We have human T-cell leukemia virus that can be spread by, so if the donor has human T-cell leukemia virus, it can be transmitted to the recipient. HIV, of course, is there. We have other viruses there, but those ones are the ones that are a little popular. We have bacteria. We have treponema. We have salmonella. Salmonella is the one that usually causes. So it means that if, for example, a person has typhoid fever and he has gone to donate blood, people will take the blood. So we have that. When we have other infections that are in the blood that are not screened for routinely that can be transmitted. We have malaria. Malaria can be transmitted through blood transfusion. And then we have a prions we call a variant of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. These are things that are not tested for and that can be spread or that can be transmitted into blood. So we have non-infectious hazards of blood transfusion. We have immune mediated. What that means is that blood is a tissue from someone else. So your own immune system will recognize it and start to fight against it, whether you have the same blood group or not. Blood group and genotype or whatever is, these are just obvious things. But what can happen is that there are other problems that can result because what is put into you is biological product from another organ, from another person. And so your immune system starts to fight against it. You have hemolytic reactions. That means that your immune system destroys the blood that was transfused into the individual. And so it makes it useless. We have febrile non-hemolytic transfusion reactions. We have allergic reactions. We have what has become popular now because we can now do a CT scan of the lungs and recognize that a patient who didn't have a lung problem in the lungs prior to transfusion suddenly develops, difficulties in breathing and restlessness. Then we'll do a CT scan and discover that this chest is battered. But the one we did prior to transfusion, the chest was fine. And so came the phrase transfusion-related acute lung injury. Then there are other problems that can happen. And then there's something here that's called microchimerism. A chimera is a mythical animal with the head of a human and the body of an animal. And so its description is now used to describe an individual that has multiple genetic makeup. So we're saying, so microchimerism means that you, in your body, can be the genetic composition of another person whose blood you received. So that's what is called microchimerism. So it means that if that individual commits a crime and they do a genetic analysis in the individual, they might just find that person's genetic material in you. We hope it doesn't get to the point where people are imprisoned for having the genetic material of a criminal just because they got blood transfusion from that individual. We have non-immune mediated. The blood itself can carry infections. A person, there can be human error. So you can have mismatched blood. The blood meant for somebody else can be given to another person. And then we have metabolic derangement that can happen. People who receive excessive quantity, more than 5 units of blood can have bleeding complications. So a person is transfused because he is bleeding, but when you get when you are transfused with a particular number of blood, it causes more bleeding. So these are all the problems that arise. So with all of this, there came the need for bloodless surgery. Bloodless medicine and surgery started as an attempt by dedicated surgeons in the 1960s to accommodate patients who declined blood transfusion, notably Jehovah's Witnesses. Their religious belief is based on a distinctive interpretation of a specific passages from the Bible, such as Acts chapter 15, verse 29, which according to the New English Bible reads, "You are to abstain from blood." So these individuals stood that because of this, they don't want blood transfusion. So the doctor, a cardiac surgeon by the name of Denton Cooley, who is widely regarded as the founding father of modern bloodless medicine and surgery, performed open heart surgeries or performed an open heart surgery for a Jehovah's Witness in May 18th, 1962. And so began the era. And a few other persons followed in his footsteps. Alt and Cooley published a pioneer report of 542 open heart surgeries without blood transfusion in patients ranging from ages of 1 day old to 89 years, demonstrating indeed that the impossible was possible and, of course, safer. Now, other surgeons joined, but their ingenious techniques were not given wide acceptance. And so a lot of people didn't know about it. Then came the advent of HIV and AIDS, where the surest way of getting HIV is if the donor was HIV positive. So doctors started running away from transfusion because they didn't want to transmit HIV. Of course, we've also mentioned some of the things that can be transmitted through transfusion earlier. So having to do series of tests to make the blood safe now made a pint of blood very expensive. And so they were seeking to avoid that. They were seeking to avoid the huge cost. So safe blood was no longer readily available. And then, so people were now looking for, what do we need? Or what do we need to do so that this scarce commodity is not misused? So then came another drive to bloodless medicine and surgery. In that same newspaper article, I showed you page 1. In page 2 of that Guardian of June 14, 2020, we also have this WHO, NMA, say that Nigeria needs 2 million units of safe blood yearly, but are only able to procure 25,000. So there is a huge shortage. There is therefore the need to develop medical approaches that can provide safe solutions without depending on the ever scarce commodity called blood, because blood is not manufactured in any laboratory or any pharmaceutical firm. Okay, so we have another question. Who is the father of modern bloodless surgery? Of course, I have mentioned his name. Recently, however, the focus has shifted from the hazards of blood transfusion to its efficacy or lack of it. So there was a Canadian trial that we call the TRIC trial, where they found out, they compared patients who received blood with those who didn't receive blood transfusion. And what did they reveal? Revealed better results with restrictive transfusion group, lower ICU mortality, lower hospital mortality, lower 30-day mortality, and a trend towards decreased organ failure. So it became clear that if a patient got transfusion and he survived, it means he survived in spite of it, not because of it. So several other studies have confirmed the adverse outcome in transfused patients related to infectious hazards like that we've mentioned. So allogenic blood has been found to increase hemorrhage, impair perfusion of the microcirculation, impair oxygen release from hemoglobin, and worsen rather than improve tissue oxygenation. So some of these effects are thought to be due to what we call storage lesions. What does that mean? When blood is removed from somebody and put in a blood bag, it starts to degenerate. So it loses vital chemicals like nitric oxide, which helps it to open up the blood vessel before it passes through. And then the deformability of the blood cell is impacted negatively. So meaning that what we think blood was doing, it was actually doing the opposite. Thus, why bloodless medicine and surgery started as an advocacy, and then it became widespread because of infectious hazards and cost of or scarcity of allogenic blood, evidence-based medicine had recently emerged as a driving force behind practice. So that's our third question. And what would the answer be? How practical is bloodless surgery in Nigeria? Well, I would want to tell you that complex surgical procedures being performed in Nigeria with no blood transfused. So we have what bilateral mastectomy for a woman who has breast cancer on both breasts and needs to have them removed. In time past, when you say you won't take blood, they will tell you to just go and die. But now these things can be done. We have total hip replacements for avascular necrosis of the femoral head from sickle cell disease. So sickle cell patients can have complex surgeries without being exposed to blood transfusion. In the audience today is one of our patients who had total hip replacement for avascular necrosis of the femoral head. And we have, we do cesarean sections along with fibroid removal at the same time without blood transfusion. We do CS with the woman that doesn't want to have any more babies, that wants to have her womb removed during her last cesarean section. Those are done without transfusion. All these other surgeries, massive fibroids, gallbladder surgery, prostate surgery, kidney stones, neurosurgery, all of these are being performed without blood transfusion. I would ask for viewer discretion. This is a video. It's a video of the beginning of a bloodless surgery. If you can't stand it, just look away. And then when you hear my voice again, you can look back into the screen. But if you can, I'll do a description. So we usually do an initial incision, and then we switch to a special equipment that cuts and seals at the same time. So the skin is being cut, but as you can see, there is no blood. So we'll do this down to where we are going to, up to our destination. So we're able to save close to 70 mils, 100 mils of blood before we get to our destination. So, but you can imagine that if this cut was being made by a normal surgical knife, yeah, you're going to see blood, pouring all over the place. For lack of time, I will quickly take it forward, and you see that we've reached the muscle layer. And rather than use a knife to cut through, we just separate the tissues. And that way, there is no bleeding. I'm sorry about the graphic nature of this video, but it's just to highlight that you can go to this depth and little or no blood is lost. So after we get in, what do we do? That surgery was a fibroid surgery. So what do we do when we get in? When we get in, we will wrap a band around the womb so that blood stops flowing into where we are going to walk. And then we can remove the things we want to remove, and there is no bleeding. For this patient, this is the number of fibroids that were removed. And we counted them, is 171. 171. And this patient's total blood loss was less than 500 mils, was about 350 mils, which is almost a little above half bottle of your small bottled water. So it is possible. So is bloodless surgery too advanced to practice in Nigeria? I leave it to answer that. So in conclusion, bloodless medicine and surgery should be the gold standard of treatment in conformity with current scientific knowledge of the dangers of transfusion and the benefits of transfusion avoidance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that very, very, very educative information on bloodless surgery. I believe everybody here has learned something new. So at this particular point, if you have any questions, if you have any comments for our doctor, this would be the best time for you to raise your hands, and we can call you up to ask verbally. But if you don't feel like talking, you can always put your question in the chat section and we will get to you. I'm sure a few of us, people in the house, were unsettled by the pictures, but just imagine if we didn't have the technique of bloodless surgery, how much blood will be spilling from every cut that the doctor would make just to get deep into the womb to remove the fibroid. So it's an eye-opener. So by the time you go to the hospital and your doctor is giving you information on anything, it's good you also have information about a few things yourself so that you could ask educated questions. So I'm looking at the chat section now to see if we have any questions. Nobody's hand is raised. Okay, we have
Francis,
a lot of
Francis' hand was raised before, Mr. Francis.
Okay, we have a lot of people saying thank you to the doctor. Ms. Olufosioye is saying thank you. Salau is saying thank you to the doctor. Several other thank yous on the chats. So we really appreciate you, Dr. Okwang. So Mr. Francis, please go ahead with your question or comment. You can unmute yourself.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Doctor, good afternoon, and thank you for the enlightenment. My question is, why is it that medical doctors in Nigeria always give transfusion of a thing as a priority? Why is it that in Nigeria, blood transfusion is given priority first instead of the alternative that we just discussed?
I should answer that. Well, yes. Let me not pretend not to understand why, because I practice bloodless surgery. So, but I understand why. I was trained in the same system. The same system trained me. It's just that I had the privilege of treating patients who didn't want to be transfused. So they were. And then I realized that they were doing better than those who got blood. So that's what pushed my head into exploring. So it means this thing is, I think many of us know that it's possible for certain things to be done, but we would just say our first reaction is no. It's only in those advanced countries. That I usually argue that when a new car is released in those advanced countries, within 3 months it's on our streets. So if we can catch up with them in frivolities, why can't we catch up with them in important issues like bloodless surgery? So it's only a matter of time. You know that usually changing the status quo is difficult. So it's for some doctors, they may want to do it, but supposing there is a negative outcome, people are going to say, why didn't you So I think it's more of trying to get well, and then of course, blood transfusion creates this panic. When they tell you your wife needs 3 pints of blood, your wife needs 4 pints of blood, everything just stops. Everybody's running all over the place, not wanting to find out what really is responsible. But I can assure you that with time, a lot of doctors would, because blood is scarce. And let me also mention that many doctors who practice in remote areas are actually bloodless surgeons. What do I mean? There are no blood banks in those remote areas. And yet they are doing surgeries without having to resort to blood. It is all of us who are in these places where we can easily say, go and get 12 pints of blood and in 3 hours you get it. That's why, but over time, doctors are going to see the benefit and use it.
Okay.
Okay, we have another person raising his hand. That's RC Southern NG. Please go ahead. After that, Onwe, you can also unmute yourself after they've asked their question.
Okay, good morning, everyone, most especially to our renowned person here, Dr. Koawo. I really greet you and I appreciate your presentation. It was quite educative. Thank you very much, Doctor. My question goes like this. I've come across a situation whereby a patient, a friend anyway, went to the hospital to get treatment. He was very weak and tired. And after the doctor must have asked him to go for a test before he could know what was really wrong with that person. On coming back with the test result, the doctor then interpreted the result to find out that that person or that patient has 15% PCV. The PCV was very low and he was immediately taken into a wheelchair and rode to a ward where the blood bank department was ordered to bring in 2 pints of blood to give to this person. Now, my question is that what if there were no other solution rather than giving this person that pint of blood? Or is there any other way that could boost the blood percentage of this person? What if this person had an accident and already had 15% blood in him or her, and they want to carry out a surgery? Can that surgery still take place? Thank you very much. These are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Intelligent question. I mean, and that's a real case, a real scenario that happens. But bloodless surgery is it's a mindset. It's a way of thinking. So let's look at the one you said. There's a common thing would say that you don't fill a leaking basket. Do you? You don't pour some water into a basket. It's not going to stay. It will go. So standard medical approach is the guy walked into your hospital and you sent him for a test. You were now disturbed by the test results. So in bloodless medicine, we don't treat results, we treat patients. What is the patient's condition? What are you seeking to correct? Is it oxygen delivery to the tissues? There are ways to increase oxygen delivery, which should be more readily available than transfusion. So if you look at the beginning of my lecture, we had 4 pillars of bloodless medicine. One of them is, optimizing tissue oxygenation. The essence of transfusion is to deliver oxygen to the tissues. There are ways to deliver more oxygen to the tissues without resorting to transfusion. There are. And let's look at it. I told you I trained in Nigeria, so I know the scenario. PCV, for the best blood to be used, each pint of blood carries a PCV of 3. So he came in with a PCV of 16, or is it 15, you said, and then he got 2 pints of blood. That's just 21. And you know the irony that the doctor would have transfused him if he met him with 21. If as he came to hospital, they did the blood count and it's 21, he would say, your blood level is too low, go and get blood. So 21, 16, in medicine, how does that change the situation? But of course, because doctors are used to transfusing, that's why that happens. I usually use this scenario. You know, if you have a running water in your house, if you take a bath with a shower, it means that on the average, you will take a bath with 5-6 buckets of water because your shower is running. And is it possible that you leave the shower and there's still soap in your back? There's still soap in your ear? Or your armpit was not properly washed? Is it possible? The answer is yes, despite the huge quantity of water you had at your disposal. But is it possible too to take your bath and be properly clean with just a bucket of water? The answer is also yes. It's the attitude. So doctors generally have a blood wasting attitude. And so there's this belief that unless blood is in abundance, I'll give you maybe you will do this. You can do a search on Nobel Prize for Medicine and Physiology in 2019. These 2 doctors explained how the body behaves when there is low blood count. You mentioned the issue of accident. Again, he bled, the patient bled. And so there is a tendency to want to replace the blood. So usually here, what we want to do is let us recognize that it is possible for that blood, for that patient to be managed without transfusion. There are medical modalities that are available in this part of the world to ensure that people, because what happens if the patient gets a blood transfusion reaction and dies? What happens? It will be, we did our best. It could have been avoided. So that's in a short stead what can be done. It is possible to treat patients without exposing them to the dangers of blood transfusion.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Unfortunately, we can't take any more questions. So for those of us who still have our hands up, Augustine and Omoying, please just go to the chat section and put in your questions. And put in your contacts, like your email or your phone number, so that our good doctor will be able to answer the questions and we can send the answers to you. So we're always trying to keep to our 1 hour schedule. So for that, we have to end this question and answer segment. So thank you all for your attention. Thank you all for making our doctor feel welcome. I hope that all that he has said is information that we'll all keep to heart so that we'll use it when needed. So we'll move on to the next segment. Thank you again, Dr. Okwaro, for that very, very insightful and very, very interesting seminar on bloodless surgery. So at this point now, we'll be collating all the quiz winners, and our people in the house, our ESCOs and the webinar group will be handling this and will give us the thumbs up when the winners are ready. We had 5 questions as usual, and we are hoping that we have 5 winners. So just to take us back, last month was a very, very special month. In fact, it was one of my favorite months since we've started this LiHSEIF seminar. It was so interesting. The kids all came out in with showing us their best side, giving us showing us their intelligence and telling us adults that they can actually run the show independently. and we are confident that our LiHSEIF kids can take over from us at any point in time. So just to recap, we had these 8 lovely children representing LiHSEIF with their different topics that they had that was geared towards the environment, safety, and health as well. And I believe everybody who attended the last month's seminar were benefited a lot from it. So we hope that people who were here actually learned from it and invited people to join. So your friends at school, your parents that you know about from other schools, inviting them to join as well. These are the winners we had for the month of May. All very intelligent, lovely children. And we almost had a tie between boy and girl, but I believe the girls were the ones who took the cup, 3 against 2. So kudos to the girls, kudos to the boys as well. We're happy that the children took 100% total, they took over. And we believe that all the plans we have in place for them for the next coming months will go smoothly, because we really want to put the kids in the forefront of LiHSEIF. So we know all the things that have been happening on the roads today with the insecurity and the unsafety on the roads. We've been hearing of various armed robbery attacks. We'll be talking about personal safety in the previous quarter, but in this quarter, we are now going deeper into journey management. So our HSE campaign for the 3rd quarter is on journey management. And we want you to understand what it's all about, which means that it's not just about you keeping yourself safe. You have to actually plan your trip. So where are you going to? I am going to school. This route that I'm taking, is it a safe route? Now that it has rained, is the road going to be, is the road accessible? Can I take an alternative route? Is it possible to walk? Is it safer to walk instead of taking a car? Can we carpool? So we all live in the same area and we're going to the same location. Is it prudent for us to take 5 different cars, or can we all just use one car to save fuel, save time, and man hours? So those are all the kind of things that come into journey management. And as time goes on for the period of the 3rd quarter, we're going to be talking more about this. So before the closing remark of our president, the quiz team, do we have our results ready so that we can share it to the House?
Okay, please give us a few minutes to complete the collation. We're almost done.
All right. So, Mr. President, please, can you give us your closing remark?
Much. Dr. Kwao, we appreciate you so much. You've enlightened us, you've educated us. I've been highly knowledgeable about surgery. This is a breakthrough information and knowledge that you've shared. And I believe everybody somehow, one way, have been touched with your presentation. Thank you so much, sir. I'm so glad to have you on this platform. So this is how we'll continue to bring in professionals and knowledgeable people to give us tips on how to educate us on HSE related information time to time. I want to believe that we'll continue to support this project so that we all have an all-round knowledge, because knowledge is continuous. So we can continue to have knowledge and to develop ourselves in every spheres of health, safety, and environment. So going forward, we'll be having as many professionals like I've said, and I want to believe that we'll all be available and also invite our friends and families, and we enjoy that, continue to support us and continue to be with us. Thank you so much for being available. And going forward, we'll be having a relationship with doctor and the hospital, so you can reach us for counseling or for reservations, and just channel all your requests through us, and we'll be able to give you a very solid package which could solve some of the problems that is surgery related. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Madam Deborah, for always being there for us. We appreciate you and all the team. Thank you so much. Happy weekend, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. For those of us who have been asking, because we've been seeing a lot of people asking questions, how can they get in contact with us? What's the duration of our frequency of our meetings and all that? So these seminars happen every last Saturday of every month. So it is for everybody. I repeat, it's for everybody. It's not restricted to working class or professionals. We have children here as young as 5 years old, 4 years old, as long as the person can read and they can understand spoken English. Please get them the link so that they can come in here, because all the information that we are sharing here is for everybody. So our contact is there on the slide. You can reach us on all social media platforms. I'm talking Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. You can find us everywhere. If there's a social media platform that we are not there yet, please inform us and we will get ourselves on it. Because the goal is to ensure that we get ourselves everywhere so that everybody anywhere can see us. If you're not a social media person, you'd like to check out our website. The website is there at www.leadershipinhsc.org. If you don't have access to the internet, you can easily put a phone call through to us. We have all the phone numbers there that you can reach. Or better still, the person who invited you to this meeting, you can always call them to get more information about how to reach us. Then we also have our email addresses there at support@leadership in hsc.org and collegiate@leadership@hsc.org. You can reach us through any of these medium, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you concerning joining the group, concerning what you can do to help us volunteer in any of our projects, in our school projects, or get us into any other sectors in your work. We're not just limited to school, we're limited all facets. Is this your estate, your homes, your children's school, your offices? We want to get in to everywhere possible to spread the HSE awareness to as much people as possible. So we want to partner with you, and we hope that you'll be ready to partner with us so that we can both share values. That's for ourselves and for you as well. So thank you all so much for being here. CMO is a quiz ready now. The quiz winners, are they ready now?
Yes, they are very much ready.
Right.
Yes, let me share my screen. Permit me to share my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. So for these months publicity, we'll start with the WhatsApp publicity contest. The highest number of views, the person that received view was one of the registered members, Mr. Mudupe Bejide, with 180 counts. So he's the winner for this month's publicity on WhatsApp. So we appreciate, and he was the only entry anyway, he's the only entry. We will appreciate that others should enter into the contest, for the number of prizes for those who enter. Then for the social media publicity, we had no entry, so no prize for that. Then for the attendees invitation, those who had the highest, the person who had the highest number of attendees, we had others. So if your name is not there, just we are only concentrating on the winner. That is a Mr. Tochukwu Chendu. Is the winner for this month's highest number of invite with 3 persons. So he is the winner, and he would definitely receive his prize. Then for the quiz winner, we had Feyi winning the first question. Incidentally, Feyi still won another prize, another quiz. We'll find that out. The first quiz that was during the safety moment was by Feyi Olifisoye, and the second was from Mr. Chinedu Obi. That is the first question during the bloodless medicine and surgery presentation. Who is the father of modern bloodless surgery? Mrs. Olifisoye. That's another Olifisoye, also won that. Then the question on whether allergenic blood has been found, the fourth question was won by, I don't know whether it's a Mr. or a Mrs. Neji Faith, won that. And then the last was won by Feyi Olufisoye again. So she's going home again with two prizes. So thank you very much. That is the rundown through the winners of our various segments. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Now we have officially come to the end of the HSE seminar for the month of June. So we can now turn on our videos. So as usual, it's our tradition to have a group photograph with everybody here. So before you leave us, just turn on your video so that we can take a picture to remember this lovely moment spent with you. Videos on, we want to see your lovely faces, children in the house. I'm seeing people smiling. That's a lovely smile from Mr. Francis and Co. Waving back to you, Mr. Ochendo Tochukwu. Hi, I tell 834. I don't have
Tochukwu, that's good. Good to see you again after many years.
a lovely smile.
Oh, that's good.
Smiling. Mr. Chinedu Obi. Smile.
Mr. Chinedu Obi, congratulations.
My able Olufisoye. Our
Feyi. You have become a serial winner.
Our Efiko in the house.
Yes, so Efiko in the house.
Fife Olufisoye, nice to see you. ITEL 823, nice to see you.
That's
nice to see Ryan.